And then ASB is having a cookie dough fundraiser, so you know my form will be going around. $10 for 2 pounds. And then Miss Hollingsworth, NPDL group is doing a canned food drive for the community, so you guys have cans. And then Mr. Schrader has begun a program for bringing in alumni to present career options to our students, and kids have been going in for lunch and then we had a social media assembly at school yesterday, educating our students on the importance of safety online and the do's and don'ts of social media. They also educated our parents the importance of safety while using social media, and you know, all the kids showed up. ROTC had a very successful MASH day against Desert. And then the 8th graders came to our campus to learn more about the school and all of our programs and extracurricular activities. And the kids looked eager to come to our school and become our future RHS leaders. And then Drama is hosting a production of Beauty and the Beast on April 16th, 17th, and 18th in the evening. I'm not sure what time, but it's in the evening. And then the ASB kids are continue to work on their community projects. And Quinn and I have our ASB project on Friday, and it's a Easter celebration at the Rising Stars Early Learning Academy for our future RHS students. Woo-hoo! That is all.
You know, kicking the ball around, batting the ball, throwing it, or just, you know, filling the book. So, good luck. Thank you all for coming. It's not been a great day. Weather's not that nice. I look around and I see, you know, all you guys have got to work in it. You know, my hat's off to you. Thank you, though. And, you know, we're moving right along. I can't believe it's going to be, you know, next week everybody's off. I don't know what I'll do. John, I'll have to drive by and wave or something if I don't see you.
Make it exciting.
Sure, yeah. And I hope Easter's good to everybody and everybody's blessed. And thank you very much.
Thank you everybody for coming. And I went to both the assemblies at the high school, the one that we put on for the kids, and I was very disappointed with the parents. The count of parents at Tropico, which we have roughly about 800 students, but we had 8 parents. And it was so informative. I learned stuff about my cell phone that I didn't know existed, and how kids hide things in there. So as a parent, it is very important you find out what the kids are doing and the dangers that are out there on social media. The high school is a little bit better, not much, but the participation of parents needs to pick up. Our community really depends on our parents helping raise kids instead of leaving it to our teachers, which do the best job they can. It's floored. That's all I can say, I was floored. With that, everything else is going really good. I'll leave that to the second.
Echo what Mr. Gutierrez said. We've kind of responded to a lot of complaints and try to have this thing for students and teachers. Mario just got a smartphone anyway, so you're I'm sure it's funny for you to learn. And thanks for everyone for coming with the bad weather.
Just to say thank you, everybody, for coming too, and I'd like to see the CSCA here as well, and RTA has been there anyway, but thank you for coming, and that's about it. So, comments from the public? Okay, we have, oh, that's right, I'm sorry, RTA report, sorry. CSCA report.
Nothing to report today.
No report today? Okay. And we have to, okay, so, members of the public may address the board on any items with the jurisdiction of the board by submitting presentation requests to the secretary. Members of the public are strongly urged not to mention personnel by name and are reminded that they do not have immunity from legal action if personnel are named. The board may limit each speaker to 3 minutes with a total of 20 minutes per topic. People wishing to speak on the item on the board agenda will be called upon when the item is considered. People wishing to speak on the items that are not on the board agenda will be called upon at this time. Since the board generally cannot take action on items not on the agenda, such items will be referred to the superintendent for handover. Superintendent's report, Mr. Weinstein.
Mr. Josh Daniels.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm like just moving away. I am so sorry.
No, you first one. up,
Josh
right?
Daniels, I'm sorry.
Or who wants to go first?
Can I defer?
Okay.
And I'll go
Okay.
second?
Richard.
There you go.
Richard Savage.
Thank you.
Right, don't worry.
All right. Well, good evening, board. I met a few of you back in December. My name is Richard Savage. I'm the executive director of California Connections Academy. In 2 weeks from today, you'll be voting on our application. And I've been given information that that is not going to go very well. And I'd like to just talk to you for 3 minutes and let you know about some things that may or may not have been communicated to you. First off, our relationship with Superintendent Weinstein is awesome. He's a great guy and he represents you guys very well. And it's been our pleasure to work with him. But from the beginning, I feel like there may have been some things that we left off the table because we felt like this was a very positive relationship and that things were going very smoothly. One of the things that I wanted to talk about first was our initial enrollment in year one is 200 students, right? And so let's just talk brass tacks real quick. To make it simple, I only have 3 minutes and be easy on our brains. Let's say that ADA is about $10,000. So for 200 kids, 1% of ADA is going to be about 20 grand. Not a whole lot of money. I get that. I understand that. But what was not communicated is that this school will eventually serve many more districts than the 3 coastal, many more counties than the 3 coastal counties. It's going to eventually serve all of Kern County, Tulare County, and several other surrounding counties. The enrollment in 3 years is projected to be at least 1,000. And so now that 1% becomes $100,000. And that's $100,000 to your district each year. And the operating costs for you are nil. I meet with the superintendent of our other 4 schools once or twice a year, and I do a presentation before the school boards at the end of the year. If liability is a concern with the school board, we can load up our application with as much indemnification as you need. There will be no liability. So I struggle to understand where those issues are. The second issue that I wanted to talk about is the students. Right now, any student that lives in Kern County can enroll California Connections Academy. This county is already served by another school, and so we're not going to be competing for students. We're not taking away any enrollment from your school district. We're not here to we're an online school. We don't have a brick and mortar. You don't have to provide us with a facility. It's a completely separate entity, and we won't be in competition for students in any way, shape, or form. In fact, we'll work with Superintendent Weinstein and provide an opportunity for students that may have gotten into some trouble and are going to be expelled or whatever and need another location. Be more than happy to handle that for them. The third point that I wanted to make was if you're worried about or concerned about academic integrity or what type of what's going on the internet with this school, we're WASC accredited, just like every other school in California. 3 years ago, we went through a full-blown WASC visit. We got a 6-year accreditation with 1 day mid-size visit. That's the second highest accreditation you can receive. So the WASC organization in and of itself believes that Connections Academy is doing a fine job. Right now, the California dashboard, I'm going to, in the interest of full disclosure, our test scores in terms of math are a little bit below state average. But in terms of English language arts, we're above state average. When we were still in the back in the old days with the API, our API was routinely above 800. So we're doing good. We're taking care of our kids, and we're a school of choice for students that need it. And there's a wider range of students, and I talked about that in December. They range from child actors to child athletes to students with social anxiety disorders to students that have illnesses to parents that are disenfranchised with the traditional setting. So we serve a wide range of students, and they will represent your district well. Thank you.
It is a challenge to a local district when there is a local brick and mortar charter school, is this dynamic where you have the same population of students and your enrollment at a district level could go down if students go to that brick and mortar charter, and so that can create some unpredictable fiscal realities for districts, and so there is some controversy over that process. With a virtual school though, it's not typically students in the authorizing district that are enrolling. It's students in a wider region because the students aren't tied to a facility. They're located throughout the state, but the way charters work is a specific school will be authorized by a specific district and then serves the region touching that county. So this school is not looking to sort of create any imbalance or enrollment or fiscal issues for the local district. It's more just a good regional location to serve a lot of students that are not currently served. And as Richard talked about, over time, that region would be fully served by this school, which would increase enrollment in that virtual school, which would create a net positive fiscal impact on your district, which is what we like to do, rather than, let's say, you know, if you, for example, as a charter would appeal to a county, the county receives that fiscal impact, not the local district. We prefer to see a local district actually benefit from the fiscal impact of the authorizing fee and the other authorizing arrangements. When it comes to online course enrollments, this is another opportunity for the district to actually utilize some of the online course opportunities that are provided to virtual students at no cost to the district that can help supplement or even underwrite existing virtual courses. So if your district is using virtual courses for some of your students right now, like an APEX program or something like that, you could actually utilize this curriculum to offset those course enrollments, and basically, you know, you wouldn't have to pay for that other program. You could use this program for free for your existing students, which would be another positive impact. And then finally, I just want to say that our districts that we have worked with across the state right now, you've got Middletown Unified in the North Bay area, Ripon Unified near Sacramento, Alpa Unified in Tulare, and Capistrano Unified in Orange County. Very happy districts with the program, very good partnership. The boards and the superintendents in those districts have very positive things to say. So if you have questions or would like to know what that looks like, we can put you in touch with those individuals and answer any questions you have. And then finally, I'd just like to say we really like Roseman. You know, Dr. Savage didn't talk about it, but he lives next door to Tehachapi and drives through here on a regular basis. So he's got, and he's lived in Lancaster. So he's in this area, and he likes the area. And personally, my grandpa lives here part-time as well. So we were like, hey, we like this area. Let's start talking to this district. So that's kind of why we started here. But if you have any questions between now and your next meeting, I'd love an opportunity to sit down, answer any questions that you have, any concerns that you have, and just talk through anything that you've got. And so that's all I've got to share with you tonight. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. First, I want to thank Safer Schools Together, which is the company that we hired to come out and put on the social media events for our students and our parents. they did a great job. Sam, who was there in British Columbia, they did a really great job. You know, one of the things, just touching on what Mr. Gutierrez and Mr. Reeder said, when we bring in parents and talk to the parents about things that happened at school that occurred first online, say 2 weeks earlier, the buildup happened online and then it happened at school, and that's why this student is now getting disciplinary action or in trouble, or these things are going on. 99% of the time, the parent is incredibly surprised. They are unaware that anything was going on. They're unaware of, you know, we will show them text messages, we'll show them, you know, things going back, and they are very much unaware of a lot of the things that go on in social media with, you know, a student's phone. So we felt very prudent that not only do we talk to the students, but that we really engage the parents to let them understand that, you know, a lot of things are happening on social media that are not great for students, and you know, that they really have to get involved. Parents are usually involved in who their kids' friends are. Parents are usually involved in, you know, where their kids are having sleepovers, or what party they're going to, or what they're doing, you know, what mall they hang out, whatever it is. And yet online or on social media, parents are very disengaged. They don't know what's going on. They have no access unless they have a program that was talked about with them, a program that can actually help them see exactly what's going on the phone. And I have to say, when Mr. Gutierrez and I were leaving the TMS, so the first thing we did was we looked at each other and said, thank God our kids are older and we don't have to deal with this. I mean, my youngest is 22. I mean, I was very, very happy that, you know, that they're at a stage where they're an adult and it's kind of on them if they mess up online, and it's not really a parental issue. But I just, you know, I think it was an excellent idea that was supported by the board, brought forth by our administrators, and I think that's really a great thing. And Social Schools Together.com are the sponsors of the PSST World, and we have gotten about a half a dozen reports in the last 2 days after came through with the kids and shown online where they are. So this logo is on our front page of our website, on each of the pages of each of the front pages of the site website pages. And if you click on that, it automatically goes to a Southern Kern page. You don't have to log in any other way. It automatically goes to a Southern Kern page and immediately is filled out. When that happens, select administrators immediately get an email, whatever time of day or night it is, we get an email, and immediately can then address the situation right then and there. And we've about had a half a dozen of them since the students have gotten it. So hopefully it's making a great impact. And then I just want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you, CSA. Good turnout again, 2 in a row. We have something going on here. And also, you guys have a great spring break, because there'll be some testing, I think, when certain kids get back. But you guys, just who's 11th grade? Nope, see? No testing for you. So just enjoy your spring break and be safe. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Weinstein. Consent items A through C. Mr. Harris makes a motion, second by Reader. All in favor? Aye.
Was there, I think they had some discussion.
Business and operations, second interim report, Mr. Arik.
I put less numbers. So second interim report, it's basically a financial report due to the state. It tells the state how we're doing up to January 31st from July 1st. It just builds on the first income. So just the bad news first, we're qualified status. So what that means is we may not be able to meet our financial obligations for the current and next 2 fiscal years. Here's a chart of all the school districts who are qualified throughout the state, and you can see the trend is going up. Qualified status basically means we don't meet the 3% reserve threshold. So 3% of our operating expenditures. So statutory requirement, 3% reserves. 3% reserve standard for us would equal 1.2 million. Our current reserve is a little above $500,000. So that's 1.3% of total expenditures and other financing uses. Here's the good news. Our multi-year projection, next year we're going to be well above the 3%, and the following year we're going to be well above that as well. So one of the main reasons we are below standard right now is because we grew so much and so fast. One of the things we have is our union contract with CTA or RTA. They have a set number of students we can put in each classroom. So as we get students, we have to create new classrooms, hire more teachers. So it's an expense we just cannot avoid. So once we factor that in, it's ate into our reserve. And the problem is we don't get paid for these students until the following fiscal year. The state doesn't take that into account. So once our new ADA is factored into the next fiscal year, we'll get a much better return on our current enrollment. So our main costs right now, and I've listed the costs for the last fiscal year, 5 fiscal years, going back to 13-14. Certificated salaries, the top line you'll see is our current fiscal year. It starts at 13-14 at the bottom. So certificated salaries have gone up every year. Classified has gone up every year, except this year, which has remained flat. Our pension costs have gone up every year. Health and welfare, gone up every year except that 1 year. And our retiree costs are going up as well. So the trend is costs are going up every year.
Eric, I may have thrown some questions. Just the retiree costs, what is that and how much is it?
So for this fiscal year, $700,000. Retiree costs are the other post-employment benefits, so healthcare, things like that. We pay as we go. We don't have a trust fund to pay for these costs. So as people retire, as they're eligible for retiree benefits, we have to pay dollar for dollar.
Thank you.
Here's a breakdown of certificated salaries and the percentage that it's risen each year. So 13-14 is the baseline year because LCFF came into fruition in 14-15. This was the old funding model. So you'll see it jumped up 15%. The next year, 6%. 16-17 went up 13%. And this year, we've gone up 4% in certificated salaries. And this includes admin certificate as well. Classified salaries, the baseline year, 13-14. The following year, when LCFF came into fruition, it went up 23%. 15-16, 9%. 16-17, 19%. And the current year, we've gone up 1% above last year's classified salaries.
Excuse me, what is LCFF?
Local control funding formula. That's the state law that dictates how we're funded. And it went to the local control funding formula from whatever the system was before. I can't remember.
It made it up 23%?
Yeah, it made it huge because.
What factor made it go up 23%?
It depends on your district. The higher your free and reduced rates, meaning the more poverty you have in your district, the more funding you'll receive from LCFF.
That's more funding.
Yes. So
so the increase in dollars, you're talking about these increases that you're seeing, that's hiring,
right.
Your raises, and overtime, everything, that's payroll. So that's the actual payroll going up each year.
Yeah, but the increase in funding, it's supplemental and concentration, meaning we have to show the state that we're using that money to help disadvantaged students. So we can't just put it in the general fund and say we're going to pay for whatever we want. We have to show in our LCAP how those dollars are going to translate into services for the students.
It's like, remember categoricals?
I do, I remember
So
that.
the categoricals, like you have to spend this amount of money on this, you have to spend this amount of money on this. It's
Same thing.
the same thing, they just kind of changed the name, made it a little sexier the way they talked about it, but in the end, they restrict us on how we spend that money.
Yeah.
Just like they used to restrict us.
If you read our LCAP, you'll see line by line how much.
Capital funding is or whatever.
Yeah, categoricals went away, LCFF came.
It took over categorical thing.
Yeah.
But when
we
it first
still
came
have
in, it was, we're gonna let you decide.
Right.
How to spend it. But you need to show us how you're gonna spend it, and we're gonna approve it.
Eric, what Corky, I think, was asking about is why we had a big increase from 13-14 to 15-16, correct?
For the salaries?
Yeah. Well, if you remember, Corky, that year prior, we had the big layoff of a lot of classified staff for
No paraeducators.
no paraeducators, and I
okay.
think we had the shortage of funds,
Okay.
or a better
Right.
word for it. Once the state re-upped
Release
our,
the money. we
released the
went
money
back
so
up.
we could afford to do it, we hired all those people back.
Right.
And that's why we had a big increase that year.
That's good, I get it, I just was curious about the, after that was activity.
John's mind.
Yeah, an LCAP, in case you don't know, LCAP is the Local Control Accountability Plan. So you have a local control funding formula. So when they give you the money, then you have to come up with a local control accountability plan and let them know how exactly you're going to spend the money, and then they have to approve it before you spend the money. So, and our local control accountability plan last year was a little over 100 pages.
Who does that? You have a committee that does the local.
Yeah, so
from
we,
the family.
admin, teachers,
Parents.
yeah, parents come in. We actually do somewhere around 20 meetings with the stakeholders, including CSEA, where we, there are surveys, and we basically get input from everybody of where they think the money should be best spent to support our EL students and our socioeconomically disadvantaged students. And then we take that, we document all that, and then we come up with our LCAP plan.
Isn't it on the website?
It's currently on the website, yeah. So if you'd like to see this current year's, and when we get back from break, we will be starting up our LCAP meetings again. And then by June 15th, Eric, we have to have our first draft of the LCAP plan.
We have to adopt it before July 1st.
Thank you.
And it's supposed to be adopted before the budget is adopted. So continuing costs, pension costs. So the base year, 1.4 million. Next year, it's up 25%. The following year, 21. The following 36, 22%. This is a combined pension for certificated and classified employees. So CalSTRS, CalPERS. The cost of health and welfare. You see the drastic increases in costs. Baseline here, 3.6 million. Up to now, 6.3 million. It's almost close to double what the cost was 5 years ago for health and welfare. This is for the entire district. And retiree benefits, so dollar for dollar we pay for retiree benefits. The base year is $411,000, we're up to $700,000. I'm assuming we're going to hit up to $800,000 next year. So enrollment, you can see enrollment's gone up drastically from the baseline year 13-14. We've increased over 600 students from that year. So 3,011 students in 13-14 to 3,682 now. So 1% increase in 14-15, 6%, 6%, and then an 8% increase. We're paid, ADA is what we're paid, so average daily attendance, 2,886 in 13-14, and right now we have 3,387. 88 is reported in P2, that's April, and that's what the state funds us on the following year. So 13, 14, 2,800. Right now we have 3387, 88. So we have 3,682 students, but we're only paid for 3,387. So what does that do to our revenue? Our 13, 14, the base year, you can see our enrollment went up drastically, but our revenue did not. So 13, 14, our revenue, and this is combined Fund 1 and Fund 13, which is food services. I combined that because it's part of operating expenditures. 13, 14, 26 million, till today, 43 million is what we expect. And this is a projection, and it will change by the time the year is up. So once LCFF came into fruition, we saw a 32% boost in revenue. The next year, the following year, 6%, following year, 9%, and this year we've seen 7% increase.
Just one comment about that. So when we used to get funded, it was based on average daily attendance, and the way the funding went was you would get, take your average daily attendance and they would ask you to multiply it by a factor per student, what you got paid. Let's say that factor, as Mr. Daniels, was $10,000. So we can use that as an estimate. But what the state did in 10, 11, 11, 12, and the board remembers this, 12, 13, is they would subtract 24% of that right off the top because California budget was not doing well. So we had to take a 24% cut right off the top of the income we should have gotten. When the law changed and went to LCFF, they gave us that 24% back the first year of LCFF. So that's why you see that first year, this huge increase. They were actually giving us back money that, or increasing our income to what it should have been for 3 or 4 years prior, and we never got it because they would literally just, the second line of your income statement would be money going back to the state. It was literally 24% of our income. So.
And so the feedback came there.
Yeah, so in 14, 15, the law changed. They said we're no longer doing the old type of revenue. We're going to do what's called LCFF, Local Control Funding Formula. And based on that, they said we are going to fund you correctly. And the first year, they gave us back all the funds that they kept taking out every year.
So what have we done to address being qualified? We're working closely with the County of Kern Office of Ed. Some things we've done, we've got rid of outside services like Aramark, Stevens Construction, UniFirst. We've reduced overtime when we can. We've delayed hardware purchases like laptops and desktops. We've reduced professional development. We've had RIFs and attrition in classified. We've had RIFs in certificated. We've had attrition in confidential, and we've had attrition in administrative reduction. Attrition means if someone leaves, you don't fill the position. Okay, so looking beyond next fiscal year, the following fiscal year, we're looking at full implementation of LCFF funding. So that means we're going to get more money per student than we currently are. We just learned today that SKUSD does not plan on raising health and welfare costs next year. They might actually reduce it 1 or 2%.
Can we clap about that?
And that's all coming. We had a seminar today in Bakersfield. That's 100% of that reduction is not that Kaiser or Blue Cross or Anthem is charging us less. It's that there were a number of drugs that are now coming off the market, and they can be made generic too. And so that generic, we had an expert from the pharmaceutical companies talk to us today. That the fact that all these drugs, there's a list of hundreds and hundreds of drugs that the government now is going to allow to be generic, lowers the cost of pharmaceuticals for all insurance companies drastically. So because they have these massive savings, they're not going to raise our rates. And that's basically where it's not that all of a sudden insurance is going up. They have this huge savings coming in, so they're selling it that oh gee, we're doing you a favor.
Yeah, but, yeah, woo-hoo, but, you know, I don't have to pay more for my insurance, that's good.
That's it, it's true.
Well, that's what they said today. We don't know what the reality is.
Hey, she's in a good mood, just leave her, let her go.
No, you want me to leave with a happy face?
There you go.
So another thing we've learned, we can realign our TK program to possibly squeeze more ADA out of it. Our accountant, Cammie, is working on this with our auditors. We want to make sure we do it correctly, otherwise we'll have to pay the money back. So as soon as our auditors give us the okay, we're going to change the way we do TK to squeeze some ADA out of it. And I think
Jen Weinberg
suggested it.
Very good. Came into my office and we started talking, and I'm like, what do you mean we're not doing that? As far as I know, we're not doing it.
3088 could be up to $300,000. And P2, that's our actual ADA that's counted for the year, which is due in April. We'll submit that with our new numbers, which will improve our revenues. And LCFF for the next year will actually reflect what our ADA is today. And if we grow more next year, we're going to go through the same process where we have to take care of these kids and then get paid the following year, as opposed to 16. And that's our biggest struggle right now. We have 3,800 kids. We're getting paid for 3,600.
Why is that just attendance?
Yeah.
Is that attendance strictly total?
That's just how the state works. You report in April, and everything is based on the number you report in April.
What percentage of that is that?
So enrollment, normally, and Leanne can speak to this a little bit, enrollment over the last few years has been right around 94%. That has been our basic. You have 100 kids, 94 is not bad. There are districts that are better, but I mean 94 is good. It's a solid number, and now we're down to about 92%. But when you're looking at $40 million, 2% ends up being a lot of money.
Right, right. I didn't know what the state average of attendance was, if it was in the 90s.
Well, for our low, so we have high English learner rate, high socially economic disadvantage rate in our area. And when you look at like districts just like us throughout the state, no matter where they are located, but just throughout the state, we have good attendance. We're up there on the higher end of it. But you know, we
still a lot of dough if they're not coming.
Yeah, so that's why we're always talking about getting the kids here, getting the kids here, getting the kids here.
Average ADA 95%, affluent communities 98%, and lower socioeconomic is about 94%.
This number sounds impressive.
Well, you know,
side,
but you know, we have a lot, as you all have seen, we have a huge increase this year in enrollment, and you know, the kids who, it seems like, although we love all of our students, the kids that seem to have grown up in Roseman and been with us from K on, kindergarten on, definitely have a better enrollment than those children that have come in at the higher grade levels later on. And so we're trying to instill in them the importance of enrollment and coming to school every day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Set filing for the second interim report. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Rose, second by Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
And that's it. And Steve?
Motion to approve all personnel.
Rita, second by?
Yeah.
Otis? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Thank you.
One abstain?
My daughter's on.
Oh, okay, one abstain, and one absent.
A motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Rita, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Time, 7:51. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.